Well, I was walking from a breakfast meeting I had in Washington towards my office near the Capitol.
On the morning of 9/11, I was currently living in the East Village of Manhattan, and I was working in Bear Stearns in Brooklyn Heights.
I remember waking up and feeling disoriented because I had just had baby.
I was listening to Steve Cass on the radio, who was interviewing Buddy Cianci. And I remember at that moment hearing the fact that a plane had hit the World Trade Center.
My first response was this must be some terrible accident that a small plane, a pilot, some type of health problem had crashed into the plane. By the time I got to the office and saw the television images, I knew it was not a tragic accident. It was very deliberate.
I was very healthy. My baby was 3 days old, baby boy. And so I was being discharged that morning. And I came home and I settled into my house with my new baby and turned on the TV because I was going to get settled to feed him when I caught the end of the Today Show, which is...
We had heard a radio report about a plane flying into one of the towers. So we had walked over to the windows and basically saw, within an obstructed view, we saw the tops of the towers and saw smoke coming out of the top of the one of the towers.
Yeah. And then, of course, we could see the smoke billowing from the Pentagon when the plane went in the Pentagon. And we stayed in the office as long as we could, and then Capitol Police came to the office and basically ordered everyone out.
Totally horrified as a group. Every one of us, you know, still young and sort of, some with kids, some without kids, some from the New York area. I was from the New York area. I had a sister in New York, a mother in New York.
And there was, people were screaming on the TV. People could not believe what was going on. And again, it was surreal because I was questioning whether it was medication from the hospital, lack of sleep,
Being at Bear Stearns, we were a clearinghouse for Cantor Fitzgerald, and one of my colleagues had made a call over there, a horrifying call, and we basically heard that they were screaming and stating that they were going to burn to death.
We had Senator Lott, the Majority Leader, Senator Daschle. They were already been taken to a secured location, and they were talking to us over the phone, and essentially we talked about what we felt had to be done, and the obvious consensus was the President had to go on that evening and speak to the nation. And then from there we had to get right back to business.
I remember the room emptying out, and then for some reason I went back and saw the second plane go in live. It was like just mind-boggling to see the speed and just what took place.
And then there was just this awesome fear set in that, oh my God, what have you done? Bringing in this tiny little life into the world. You're supposed to protect him, and you've just seen the aftermath of 2 planes full of people.
I'd seen from the roof of my building the World Trade Center towers smoldering, and I saw 3 helicopters, one on the East River, one on the Hudson River, and one on the south point of Manhattan, all with police lights on the top and floodlights shining down on the Trade Center. And at that point, there was fighter jets screaming up and down the East River and the Hudson River, and it was bone-chilling to me knowing that the bridges and tunnels had been shut down, and I was basically trapped on the island of Manhattan at that point.
It was one of the most remarkable days, and I'll never forget getting home and just sort of crying with my wife, watching, you know, the city fall apart and not knowing what was going to happen next.
And alone, it was sort of a stunning when we began to find that the perpetrators were really, you know, this relatively small group of Islamic terrorists. We didn't think, at least I didn't think, that they had the capabilities of organizing such a sophisticated attack that could be so destructive to the United States. And it clearly revealed that we had to change our approach, that we had to begin to think about what was previously inconceivable.
It was just the most emotional time of my life. Feeling very responsible for my newborn and wanting to protect him but also just very sad that the world that he was born into had completely changed from the world.
All in all, it was probably the scariest day of my life. I will never forget 9/11. I'm Michael Wesley.